Okay, boys and girls, we're going to do some practice or some review on subjects and predicates. So I need everybody sitting up. Let's all sit up. Let's sit like Mona Lisas. Can I see some Mona Lisas? Excellent, some Mona Lisas. Very good. So, can somebody tell me, okay, a sentence has how many parts? How many parts does a sentence have? Everybody show me with your fingers. How many? Very good, 2 parts. A sentence has 2 parts. And what are those 2 parts of the sentence called? What are they called, Elisa? Subject and predicate. Everybody say that.
Subject and predicate.
A subject and a predicate. Now the subject, what does the subject tell us? Who can tell us? Jensen, what does the subject tell us? The subject does not tell us what the subject sentence is about. Who or what the sentence? Who or what the sentence? Who or what? And what does the predicate tell us? Elisa? What they are doing. So the subject is who or what the sentence is about, and the predicate tells us what the subject is doing. So we need a little bit of practice here. So here's what we're going to do. I have 8 sentences. We, boys and girls, are going to try to figure out what the subject is and what the predicate is before we do this on our own. So you've been practicing for 2 weeks trying to figure out what the subject and what the predicate is on a sentence. Do you think you're ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I think you're ready too because we've been doing an awful lot of practice. So let's look at our first sentence. It says, the star twinkles in the sky. Now, it is important to remember that a subject has the nouns in it. The predicate has the verbs in it. So it starts with the verb. So the star twinkles in the sky. Who can tell me what part of that sentence is the subject? What's the subject of that sentence? Yes, Logan.
The star.
The star. Very good, that's the star. And so then, what is the predicate of that sentence? What's the predicate of that sentence? Libby?
Twinkles in the sky.
Twinkles in the sky. So now when I'm underlining, I'm trying to make sure that I'm underlining starting at the verb, so I know exactly what I'm underlining. The children watched the parade. What's the subject of that sentence? Who is that sentence about? Ethan, can you help me? What's the subject?
The children.
The children. That's who the sentence is about. That's my asking question, I think. Who is that sentence about? And then what is the predicate? What's the predicate of that sentence? Kelsey?
Watch the parade.
Watch the parade. That's what the children did. They watched the parade. Very good. The dog chased the cat. The subject of that sentence? Avery?
The dog.
The dog? Predicate?
Chase the cat.
Chase the cat. Next sentence. My brother set the table. Subject, Olive.
My brother
Predicate?
set the table.
Set the table. Subject, I swim like a fish. Teddy?
I swim. No,
I. Oh, good catch. And what's the predicate?
swim like a fish.
Swim like a fish. Because what do? I, the subject, swim like a fish. The bird sings a pretty song. Subject?
The bird
The bird. And what is the predicate?
sings a pretty song.
Sings a pretty song. You eat the last piece. What is the subject?
You
You. And what is the predicate?
eat the last piece.
Eat the last piece. And then finally, number 8, the player threw the ball. Who haven't I heard from? Gosh, I think I've heard from everybody. Elisa's dying to do it again. Elisa, what's the subject? The player threw the ball.
The player
The player and the subject?
threw the ball.
Threw the ball. Very good. Now, here's where it can get tricky, and I'm going to give you an example. I'll try to think of an example sentence that I can write here on the board. Okay? Here it is. The creepy old house. Word problems was haunted. Okay? Now, what part of this is the subject? Was the subject of that sentence? Ivy, what do you think the subject?
The creepy old house.
The creepy old house. It's the whole thing here, because this whole thing, even though we have some adjectives in front of the house, it's still the subject. And then what is the predicate of that sentence? What is the predicate? Was haunted. Okay? How about if we have a sentence like this? Okay? We have Libby, Ethan, and Kelsey sit in the front of the room. Well, I'm going to do it there because I'm running out of board space, okay? Now, what would be our predicate or our subject? What is the subject of that sentence? What do you think the subject is? This could be tricky. What do you think? Kelsey? Libby, Ethan, and Kelsey. Very good. And so then what is our predicate?
Sit in the front.
Sit in the front. That's right. So we can have a longer subject because there could be more than one person, right, in the subject. Jensen?
Can I even have sentence?
That's the only one we're going to do. That's our last example. So you have to make sure you get the whole subject. We had some examples like that in homework. And there's a little bit of confusion about that. So that's how we do it. Now, when we're underlining boys and girls, we have to make sure we underline and start exactly where the predicate begins. We're okay here at the subject, but you have to make sure you underline all the way to the end of the subject, and then you start underlining all the way to the predicate. Okay? What questions do you have about subjects and predicates? Ivy?
It's like, what if there's like a big subject and it goes all the way through the sentence?
Well, there's always going to be, it could be a really long subject, then you just have a long subject, and you could have a shorter predicate. That could happen, but that's how it is. So then you underline the whole subject till you get to the predicate. That's all there is to it. Sometimes you're going to have a longer subject, because we could have a sentence where we name everybody in our class, and we could say are sitting at their desk. In which case we would have to underline everybody's names, correct? We named everybody like that. We probably wouldn't write a sentence like that. I wouldn't write a sentence that said Kelsey, Libby, Ethan, Mikey, Elisa, Olive, Ivy, Avery, Logan, Teddy, and Jensen are sitting at their seat. So in which case, the predicate of that would be are sitting at their seat, and then the whole beginning of that sentence would be the subject, right? And then you'd have to draw a big long line in front of that. That'd be one long sentence. We would have to come up maybe with a better sentence than that, yes?
Or you could say the class sets.
that would be better to say the class than name everybody's names. Very good. So those are our subjects and our predicates. Very simple. Good job, boys and girls. Good job. Now we're going to do a paper on it.